Okay. Okay, could somebody like share in the chat or give like a thumbs up to see if they can hear me properly? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So hello everybody. Welcome to our very last workshop this summer, and it's called Managing Burnout and Motivation During Finals. Um, So in this workshop, we will like do some activities as well as like talk about like how to address burnout and how to identify them, as well as like increasing your motivation throughout like your academic like um years. Okay, so I'm just like letting some people in. So before we begin, let's do our attendance. If you've already registered on Penji, there's no need for you to like scan the QR code. But if by any chance you haven't registered on Penji yet, feel free to scan the QR code so that we could like mark your attendance. And then let me know if you're encountering like any sort of like troubles with like doing the attendance. But other than that, I'll leave this screen on for like a while in order for you to like scan the QR code and like check in. If you are having any troubles with like the Penji app, just let me know and we will like talk about this um afterwards. Was at the end of the workshop. Hold on, I'm just admitting a couple more people in here. Okay, so as I was saying, just to like repeat what I mentioned, if by any chance you have not registered on Penji or haven't registered on Penji, um, feel free to like scan this QR code to like um, check in. However, if you have registered on Penji, you're all good and there's no need for you to scan the QR code. And if you are having trouble with having any sort of troubles with like your Penji like attendance, just let me know and we will like talk about it at the end of the workshop. All I need from you is like your email address and I will have like my supervisor if this is like a mandated like workshop for you that you need to attend and you're having troubles with like your attendance, just let me know at the end of the workshop, give me your email and I will have like my supervisor like mail the specific like instructor so that they will let you know so that my supervisor will let them know that you've attended this workshop. Um, I will give like a couple more seconds and then I'll begin with like the next slide. Okay. So just to like give like a brief introduction, I will like, share what the Student of Academic Resource Center is. So SARC is the learning center on campus where students can access high quality academic support programs and services. And all of our offerings help UCF students develop college level study skills and achieve the highest standards of academic excellence. So our services consist of academic consultations, peer tutoring, and peer tutoring has group peer tutoring, one-on-one peer tutoring, supplemental instruction, academic success workshops like this, and study union. So hold on, having to like admit a couple more people in. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So for those who just arrived, we will talk about like the attendance after like the workshop. So just feel free to like, enjoy the workshop and just let me know if you need some form of like attendance later. Okay, so just to like dive deeper into like our services, so academic consultation is a one-on-one like 1 hour session where we kind of like assess your academic like study skills and just see what could be improved on. So for example, if you are struggling with like your calculus class or your biology class, we have our ACE consultants and they will like talk to you and like ask you questions on how you're tackling like the concepts and we will give you like tips and tricks on how to like ace your class, um, admitting more people. And then for peer tutoring, we have like, peer tutoring and supplemental instructions. Those are like courses that are known to have like a high DFW rate or DFW courses. So think of like STEM courses like organic chemistry, calculus, macroeconomics. So all of like the hard subjects that you can think of, we probably like offer like peer tutoring and supplemental instruction sessions for that. And then for academic success workshop, this is like a session like this where we will also again teach you for like an hour on like some specific like study skills that you should have in your college life. And then study union is this like big like review session that we have every summer and spring. Um, and it's just like this massive review session where our peer tutors and our SI leaders will give you like a review packet that they got from the professors that you are enrolled in. And they will like go through over like the questions and concepts that you might expect in your finals. So that's basically like a brief overview of SARC. So now let's do our icebreaker. So feel free to scan this QR code and we will do like a little bit of an activity afterwards. So just to like um let you know that you're participating and stuff. So this online assessment is like pretty short, but this is just like a way to like assess like which areas of your life is like the most dominant like factor for it. Like is it your academics? Is it your work? Is it your family or friends? So just make sure that you're honest and make sure to like really be extreme with your score. So if you mostly like rate your scores to like a 5 or a 6, that's not really like telling the wheel that much. But if you are like more extreme and like say I think I'm like really focused on like my academics a lot and then rate that as an 8 or a 9, that will be like more helpful with that. So I'll leave the screen in for like a little bit more and then I'll put in a timer so you could like do your session or your assessment. So, if you are like done, if you happen to like be done with that assessment, it will probably give you like a pop-up like ad telling them to like sign into their email. I don't really recommend that. You don't really need to do that. All you need to do is like know the score, and you're all good. Okay, so for those who are not able to see their scores because it keeps telling you to sign in, I know, like as I mentioned, you don't really need to like sign in since this is like a pretty quick activity. But what I would recommend is just the if because my next question is just about to like for you to like identify which one is like running your life more. That's okay if you can't really see like the whole majority of your score. It's like there's like an annoying like pop-up like ad. So I think you're okay for those who like messaged me about like seeing those like sign in like prompt. Okay, so I know that there's like a chat where some of you have not gotten to like scan the QR code. So like as I mentioned, we will go like over that again later at the end of the workshop since we are already in at like 2:10, so we have to like proceed with like the workshop since we only have like 50 minutes to discuss this. So but don't worry, we will like go over the attendance again later. Oopsie, what happened? Okay, sorry about that. Let me just do this real quick again. Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Headspace.
Okay, there you go. So as I mentioned, for those who have um are having troubles with like getting their main score, just if you could like give a brief idea of what's like running your life. So when you are trying to like when you are trying to score this wheel, and they ask you like which time do you mostly like, spend your time on? Like do you spend time on like with your studies? Do you spend time with your work? What is currently like running your life at the moment? Friends and fun? Awesome. So for those who just got here, we are doing like a quick like icebreaker, and that's okay. If you couldn't like do the first activity that we have, because we have like a couple more activities. So um feel free to like, just like wait until like the next upcoming like activity that we got. So some of the chats that are saying they are saying that friends and fun is like the one that's like running their life or like the most majority or the one that is like playing like the most like majority like a factor for their like life at the moment. Family, love and fun, health and family. So these are all like good results and I'm glad. Family and health. Okay, okay. So that's really like good to know that for most of us, family, love and health is what's currently like running our life. So that's all awesome stuff. Like friends, love and career. Music. Ooh, we have like another one. Health, music, and friends. That's all awesome. Like, thank you so much for like participating in the chat. Friends and family, awesome. So that's good to know that based on the test that we have, like we see friends, family, and health as like the most important aspect in our life. Oh my gosh. Why is it always telling me here? Okay. So, um, even though it's all like positive, like answers that we have, like the reason that we are doing this workshop is about like burnout, right? So burnout is something that's really common in our college life because this has been like the next 4 years or 3 years that we have in in like on campus will be some of like will consist of a lot of like stressful moments, so and that will ultimately distress and then will ultimately like lead to burnout. So academic burnout is defined as the feeling of exhaustion resulting from a compulsion for study, which is exhaustion, pessimism towards assignments, and feeling incompetent as a student. So there's a lot of like factors when it comes to like academic burnout, and one of them would be like the imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon where you kind of like think that you are not good enough and then there's a tendency where you kind of like compare yourself to other people and that they're good enough in terms of like grades. You compare your grades to other people, like, oh, I'm like below like the median or the average scores for my quiz, and then you will feel a little sad for it. So with that constant like repetition or constant like, feeling of like incompetency, that will really lead to like a burnout. So here are some ways to like assign signs to like identify that. So first is the inability to like concentrate and like, motivate yourself. So that is like a big indicator that you might be experiencing some burnout in terms of like your classes. There's also a tendency where you kind of like don't get to sleep and you don't really tend to eat as much, and you have like a lack of interest and previously like, fulfilling activities. But according to the wheel of life, this doesn't seem to be the case for the participants here, so that's all good. And there's also like reduced confidence in like academics, or like there's a poor performance. Like if you're somebody who tends to like, participate in like discussion, and then you find yourself like, and then since you were dealing with like that burnout, you tend to like not participate as much anymore in classes. That is definitely a huge sign that there's some, ways that we have to actually address what's going on. There's also like opportunities where you kind of like miss deadlines for your courses or your classes. And then there's also like, an increase of like tiredness emotionally and physically, as well as a heightened like anxiety and like irritability, where you tend to like be in a more bad mood than usual. And there's also like, increased like apathy, where you kind of like just tend to like not care whether you miss an assignment or two, and also like frequent of like a physical illness. So what kind of like causes like burnout, especially in like the academic setting? So we have like a lot of like academic responsibilities. Like for some of us, we know we want to like be able to like have like a good and polished resume. So we're all about like joining the organizations and like having like major like responsibilities, such as being like a leader in like one of the organizations that you're a part of, or you're doing like internships, or you're tackling like, several jobs all at once. That can ultimately like lead to like burnout if we don't, deal with like stress or like self-care as much. There's also like work obligations, as I mentioned, and like social stressors. Like there's, if you are feeling like isolated and you don't have like, a specific like community or a friend group that could like help you like de-stress or like have somebody to vent out to, that could lead to burnout as well. And there's also like financial and health like indicator. So money is always like important, and everything is like quite expensive these days, so that could definitely like lead to like a burnout as well, because with like, if you're dealing with like finances, then that means you would have to like work twice as hard, and that could like, lead to like poor health conditions. And then you also have like other responsibilities, such as like, if you are a non-traditional parent, or if you are a non-traditional like student and you are a parent, so you have like kids to take care of, or you have your like siblings to take care of. That could definitely lead as an additional like factor for that, if you are dealing with a lot of stuff aside from like, caretaking responsibilities. You also have like, your volunteer or your community responsibilities, as well as some form of like, if you are experiencing some form of like discrimination. These are all like good examples of like what could lead to burnout. So over time, your energy and capacity to navigate these challenges will be depleted, while you are simultaneously expected to like maintain a good like academic like performance. So I want to ask the chat again. What's one small sign that tells you I need to slow down before things get worse? So as we've known in like the wheel of life, um, do you tend to like go to your family, or to like do you tend to like go to your family if you feel like, oh, this specific like final project of mine is like really, causing me stress, so I need to slow down and like spend time with my family more? Or I've been like focusing on like this specific work a lot, and I'm feeling like some sort of anxiety before going to work, and that's not really good for like my mental health. So I need to like slow down and take like, reduce a couple of like hours when it comes to working, or I need to like take some vacation, like, or a break. So I'm like more regulated and like decompressed. So feel free to like share that into chat. Okay. So some of the answers that we're getting so far is when you are not able to think anymore, when you feel like you can't take care of your own self, when you aren't able to focus because you're stressed. And there's a couple of answers regarding like sleep. Yes, sleep is really important in terms of like, managing your physical and mental health as well. When even the small things I do every day start to bother you, missing deadlines, missing assignments, sleeps. Okay, awesome. So, well, not awesome, but thank you all for like participating. I really appreciate that. So, again, all of like the things that we are sharing in our chat are all of like the stuff that um I brought up here and like what causes burnout and like burnout in general. So these are all like just a sign for us that we need to like slow down and like kind of like find a way to like de-stress and like decompress and like just taking that time to like breathe and like slow things down and like make sure that we are again centered, and then we're ready to like take on like more responsibilities afterwards. So we just kind of like need that moment to like slow down. Again, thank you all for participating. That's really appreciated. And most of this is like about sleep and like losing focus. So yeah, this just like kind of like makes you realize how important like taking care of yourself and like being like, prioritizing yourself is like also really incredibly important so you are not um burnt out. So here are some ways to like address burnout. So first, we have to reevaluate our study techniques and schedule regular breaks for like mental decompression. So, um, if you find yourself that you are studying like every day with like no breaks, that is definitely gonna lead to like some huge stress and like burnout at the end of like your midterms or your finals, right? So make sure to reevaluate like the study techniques and see if this is like helping you out or if this is causing you more stress, and like make sure to like schedule like regular breaks every now and then. So sometimes we like to promote like the Pomodoro technique where you have like 20 minutes of like deep focus and then you have like 10 minutes of like break or 5 minutes of break. Again, it's we're all about like catering and personalizing your study techniques to what works for you. And then the other one is establishing a healthy sleep routine to improve like sleep quality. So this is something that's like mentioned in a chat a lot is sleep. And again, I'm all for like us getting like the amount of like hours of sleep that we get so we have the time to like rest our body and like actually like, relax and keep ourselves healthy. And then list stressors to identify what you can control and what you can reduce. So, for example, if a specific like activity like stresses you out a lot in your work or in your school, maybe identify that and see how you could like ask for help in that aspect. And then it's also important for us to like set boundaries and say no every once in a while, like right? Like for all the people pleasers out there, I know that, it's hard to say no at one point, but we really need to like set our boundaries even in like our social groups or any like academic obligations. Sometimes it's important for us to like say no in order for us to like, be healthy and like choose ourselves like every once in a while. And then we also have to like combat feelings of isolation. So by reaching out to a friend or a trusted support, that would also help you like, regulate your emotions and like talk and like you just need like somebody to vent to can really help like address like the burnout and even like get out of that like feeling. And it's also important that we celebrate our efforts and not just the outcomes of like what happened, right? So try acknowledging all the work that you are doing to like reduce your stress. So every like win counts. So whether you have like a goal that you have to like do an essay by Sunday and you created like a paragraph on Thursday, that's really important to celebrate that because that is like if writing is like a big like struggle for you, it's important to celebrate that success that you did like a paragraph or two before like Sunday came, right? And then learning is a continuous process, so you have to really stay kind to yourself and others. So in terms of like addressing burnout, UCF has like two main resources that could like help you with that. So there's CAPS and WIPS. So CAPS is like our counseling and psychological services where you and both of these resources are free. So we always recommend that you get that or utilize the resources that we have for you here at UCF. So CAPS and WIPS is like a really good one in order for us to like be mentally and physically healthy. So counseling is more on like the mental aspect of it, while WIPS like helps you like, for those who are like struggling with like your sleep schedule or trying to like, or struggling to like find that like healthy lifestyle, WIPS is here for you. But if you need somebody like to like talk to or have like a professional like and have like a professional like see you and see where you're coming from, CAPS is here for you. So here's like again like a mini activity that we do. We are almost like 1 week. We'll have like 1 week left and like before we're done with like summer just in general. So let's take the time to like kind of like meditate for like a week, for like a minute and just kind of like decompress and like take that moment to like, not think of anything else.
Hi, and welcome to Headspace. So, no matter what's going on in your life right now, no matter how many thoughts are racing around your mind, no matter how the body's feeling, just take a moment to sit down and take a big deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in, a sense of taking in fresh air, the lungs expanding. As you breathe out, a sense of letting go of any stress in the body, in the mind, just feeling the muscles soften and relax. And close your eyes if you'd like to. One more. Breathing deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just take a moment to pause. Allow the thoughts to come and go. And then just gently opening the eyes again.
Okay, so that was like a quick, like peaceful, like 1 minute thing. Well done. Okay. And now let's move on to motivation. So, motivation is a desire that energizes and pushes a behavior. So, it is the driving force behind our actions and it dictates why we do and what we do. So, there are two broad like categories of like motivation. So, one is intrinsic motivation and the other one is like extrinsic motivation. So, intrinsic motivation is something that we do for our personal, satisfaction without expecting a reward, while extrinsic motivation is the exact opposite, where we kind of like, treat ourselves to like, after we're done like doing something. So it involves like being driven by external rewards to avoid punishment, such as attending an event for like, an extra credit, like right now, or I'm just kidding. Or like just doing like any form of like treating yourself or like, oh, I'm gonna get myself some baked goods if I do this like quiz real quick, right? So, um, reflect on your last like major assignment or exam. So, were you motivated more intrinsically or extrinsically? And how did that influence like your effort, stress, or enjoyment? So, feel free again to like share it in the chat. I really appreciated it when you kind of like, when the whole like group kind of like shared it in their chat. So feel free to like share if and reflect like in your like previous like assignment, like was that motivated like intrinsically, were you like really motivated because you are interested in like the course that you're taking, or are you motivated extrinsically and you kind of like just want to get like that, you don't want to fail in your class and you kind of like are using like extrinsic motivations like oh, after I'm done with this essay I'm going to the mall or I'm going to like shop. Yes, so we are, in some of the chat say, I was motivated more extrinsically because I wanted a good grade on it, extrinsically because I wanted to get a good grade and get some good food after. Yes, yes. was motivated extrinsically because I want to keep an A in the class. Absolutely. Those are all like valid like motivation. I want to keep the A. Was motivated extrinsically because I wanted to keep an A. So all of the chat so far are motivated extrinsically because they want like a reward after. Okay. So, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Well, let's see, there's a couple more. I was motivated more extrinsically because I wanted to have a good grade, influence my effort because it causes you to study, and extrinsic motivation. Okay, so all of us mostly have like extrinsic motivations because of the grades of or having good grades as a result of that. So both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation really play a role in shaping our academic like performance. So, but research shows, like I know that in the chat, most of our answers are extrinsic motivation, and I also like feel that way as well. Um, when I tend to like do stuff, my main goal is to like, oh, I want to like make sure that this research paper is good because I want to like get that like good grade from this professor because I want this professor to like notice me in order so that I could be like her research assistant in the future, right? So those are all like forms of like extrinsic motivation. So, however, research shows that intrinsically motivated students have like higher achievement levels and lower anxiety and greater learning competence than extrinsically motivated students. So intrinsic motivation like improves like academics performance as students like are deeply like they are more engaged in like the content while extrinsic motivations encourage us to try new things and work well for like short-term goals. So what can we do with that? Because I know in the chat that we are all like pretty much like motivated by grades, right? So while extrinsic motivation is good, it also has like a couple of like drawbacks. So that's something that we have to consider. So it really create a dependency on rewards, leading to like a decrease like learning and motivation when that specific like reward is removed. So this is mainly like I know that we are all like motivated by grades, but this is like more on like certain actions where if we kind of like if we depend on rewards on like little like activities like if I um do this like if I do this like assignment, then I will go to like the movie. But then if that movie is gone or if you don't, if you get spoiled by it, then you're not like as motivated to do this specific activity. So it's like the extrinsic like reward, it really varies on that aspect on how tempting or how like good that reward is. So it can also cause like academic burnout, like as we're discussing, because if we're solely like leaning in with the grades, learning can like tend to be exhausting if we're only doing it for the reward of like a good GPA. So that's just something to like think about and just something to like, remember in the future that, as if we are not as passionate about this specific like course that we're taking and we're only doing this just to get like a good GPA, then that's just something to like consider. Like, if we have to like make learning a passion. We actually have to like really be curious about like the subjects that we're taking. Then that will like kind of like switch that mindset to like have like, no form of like rewards. And then it will also like affect our self-esteem. So sudden loss of rewards may lead to like self-doubt about competence. I definitely feel that way because again, I'm somebody who was more of like an extrinsic like a thinker where when I had a really low grade in like my first year of like doing my master's here at UCF, I received like a really low grade and that kind of like put me in a spiral a little bit. But once you've like reframed that mindset and that my professor even like gave me like a real talk about it that grades doesn't really matter. It's all about how hard how interested and how curious you are about this like specific like research, and then you will continuously like improve and like be more motivated to like do your literature review. So just something to like think about that, and it also undermines like intrinsic motivation. So let's see, do you think extrinsic rewards are better? Well, we will talk about that in the next slide. So in the chat, I was asked if extrinsic rewards are better. It's really important that we balance both, right? Because as I mentioned, there are a couple of drawbacks with when it comes to like extrinsic rewards. So if we are continuously chasing that specific like, reward that we have, which is either a good grade or, treating yourself to like a movie afterwards, or I want to watch like the Odyssey after I'm done with this exam. That's why I'm like studying this or I'm finishing this specific project. It's really important that we balance both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So use extrinsic motivation to like ignite interest in like the new ideas. So by rewarding yourself for trying or learning something new. So this will like increase your drive for like learning even further, which kind of like, if you are more interested in like learning something and you're not, that will kind of like lessen the need for having a reward in the future, in the long run. Does that make sense? Just feel free to like go in the chat again if there's like any areas or any bullet points that I have not explained well, and I'm more than happy to answer that. And then for the second point is to apply extrinsic motivation for short-term goals, because viewing participation as as an achievement rather than focusing solely on rewards is more better in that like mindset or perspective, and perform as though the external motivator is not there and put your best foot forward regardless. So do your best regardless, despite like, if you think that there's like no external motivation for that. And then reflect on the purpose of tasks and their relevance to your career and find meaning in them. Connect activities to personal interest to like make learning enjoyable. So if you're doing like a research project and you have like the ability, if research is not your thing, but you have the ability to like, research a topic that interests you, then maybe that will be like a good like, combination of like extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. And then avoid like too much reliance on that extrinsic part to prevent like academic burnout, low self-esteem, and mental health issues. Because again, if we kind of like stress too much about like getting good grades, that will ultimately lead to like the burnout that we've talked about earlier. So um, here is the group vision board. So for those who are not able to participate, like the wheel of like activity that we have. So we have like 30 or 29 participants. So I think this would like be really fun. So let's just make sure that we're able to like squeeze everybody in this like group vision board. So a vision board helps clarify like your intentions and primes your subconscious like mind to like recognize like aligned opportunities for your success. So share a photo or share photos of your goals and what you aspire to be. So I will like at the end share like what we have in that vision board. So feel free to like scan the QR code again. And again, I appreciate your participation in this activity. And I think this will like look really cute at the end. So I'll keep this like screen for a while before like proceeding with like the next slide. And you will have like, let's say, oh, you will have like a couple of minutes to like do this. So don't worry. So I'll just keep the screen on so you could like scan the QR code, and then I will give you some time to like do the vision board after. So for those who are not able to scan the QR code, I've sent a link so that you could also access it as well. And feel free to like scale or, make it a little bit smaller so you can have like more space for like the rest of the participants. So let's approve all of that. Of course, we have the TikTok like bat guy, whatever guy. Okay, money. Money is a big motivator in order to get money. Okay. Remember, extrinsic motivation, guys. Okay, make bank. Gotcha, gotcha. Just like full disclosure, I was not expecting 29 participants in the workshop, so I didn't make this as big as I should have. So feel free to like, scale the images to however you want it to be. To be able to create cool stuff, absolutely. Give back to the community, money and career so that you can have time with others. Want to work in construction, I'm gonna do this the brand strategies over here if you don't mind so that people can see. Okay, so I will have like a minute more and then I'm gonna like, move in with like the next slide. Okay. Vin Diesel. Awesome. Okay, so I will proceed. There's okay, a PS5. I will proceed with like the next slide now. Okay. So now that we've, created like, a group vision board, again, full disclosure, I was only expecting like a little like, a small like group of like participants, but this is also great. So that's why the vision board is now crowded that much. So it was like a poor like prediction on my part. So I should have made that a little bit bigger. But I hope that, that was a little fun activity for you. And now let's talk about like the metacognitive strategies in order to increase motivation, right? So the first one that we have to do, or the first one that we recommend, is to reflect on like what makes you happy, what fulfills you, and what you are passionate about. So and then think about what the support that you need to like achieve your goals, and then get it. Do you like have your friends? Do you have like your family? Do you have like a mentor, or do you have like your professor that could help you with a specific like project that you want to achieve? And then it's also important to accept that you are not perfect, and mistakes happens. We are all humans and life also happens, so things aren't cannot be perfect all the time. And then one thing that we also like to recommend is like some form of journaling. So write a letter to your future self to like remind yourself of like the goals that you would want to achieve. And then when you have like a task to accomplish, make sure to really like reflect before, during, and after. And then talk to yourself out loud about your dreams and goals and speak like encouraging, like positive words. And then list out what is preventing you from doing what you need to do. And then find ways to like tackle those things. So those are like just like some form of like metacognitive strategies, just so that we could like, activate our brain. Because there's also like this like saying of like, limiting beliefs. And that is what we covered in our previous workshop about limiting beliefs and like overcoming them. So, as long as we keep like doing those positive like self-talk and like, try not to talk to ourselves in like a negative manner, our brain can like help like combat like the negative thoughts that we have. So if we think that, oh, I am great at writing and here's what I'm going to do to continuously improve that, that will like enhance or even like motivate us even further to improve on what we want to do. So in terms of like accountability, with your, with your, for example, for your finals or your current like academic goal, it's important that we have like, we have visual reminders, like, the vision board that we have earlier that we did, and alarms on your phone and laptop to like keep yourself on track and motivated towards your goal. And then it's also important that, we share our goals with a friend or a classmate or somebody in your life that would like keep you accountable for it, right? That would like, help you keep on track. And then you could also like meet with an academic consultant at SARC to discuss your goals and hold yourself accountable if it's like study strategies related that you want to improve on. Attend office hours to discuss with the class, with your professor, and gain like specific tips and suggestions for that. And then joining study groups if you want to like, get a good grade, or again, extrinsic motivation if you want to like, enhance your like, concepts with like the specific like course that you're taking, especially if it's like a really hard like course like Orgo. So I want to ask the chat again. So among the strategies that we've explored, which one do you plan to like implement to help reduce burnout or boost motivation? So there's a couple. So feel free to like share that in the chat. I'm gonna like go back. Okay. And I'll switch between the two every now and then. So feel free to like, drop it in the chat. So on like what strategies do you want to like do or implement to like boost your motivation for the upcoming finals or reduce burnout? And then I'm moving into the next slide again. Okay, so we have, we will reflect on what is working well, thinking about your goals and why you're doing this, setting reminders on your phone and visual reminders like posters, having some accountability. Okay. Listing out what's preventing you from succeeding, setting goals, setting reminders. Awesome. So with the time, I'm gonna like proceed with like the next slide. So there's like a psychology in like setting goals. So apparently there's like this reticular activating system in like our brain. So it is like a bundle of like nerves and like our, brain or in our nervous system or in our like brain that filters out unnecessary information. So the important stuff like gets through. So when we did that like vision board, or when we set a clear goal or repeatedly like focus on something, the reticular activating system starts flagging like related information as important, which is why you suddenly notice like a car model everywhere after deciding you want to buy one. So that like once you start to like declare it in yourself, or once you like set like a goal that, oh, I want to get like I want to be like more passionate about this like specific like course, or oh, I want to be this I want to get like a doctorate in the future, then you will start seeing things that are more aligned with that specific goal. Like some for you will like go to like the graduate office, or you will go seek like research opportunities for you to like have a better like portfolio for your doctorate like degree. So those are like ways that could like help your brain. How this those are the ways that goals can like help your brain like seize the opportunities that could like help you like succeed in the future. So this is like the mechanism like behind like the vision board and the setting goals activities that we're doing. And writing down or visualizing a specific goal programs your reticular activating system to start noticing like opportunities and resources that is connected to that goal that you'd otherwise like tend to filter out if you didn't. So for that, you do really need like a specific thing, which is why we are doing Whoop goals. So you've probably heard of SMART goals, but Whoop goals tend to be like a second like way of like setting goals. So during this workshop, we've slowly gathered an idea of like what kind of like motivates us with like the wheel of life activity that we did in the beginning, and then the strategies that we should implement to like keep us like motivated or driven, right? So the WOOP method is wish, outcome, obstacle, and then plan. And this is a science-based like mental strategy developed by like a psychologist to help you achieve goals and change your habits. So to set a WOOP goal, you have to follow these steps. First is a wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan, and then formulate like an if-then strategy to overcome the obstacle. So I'm gonna share in the chat. So it won't be like 8 minutes, but I am won't be in the chat, but I will share a file for everybody to like do. And because of time, let's see. We won't particularly dig into that today, but it's worth giving this flyer for you to like do this activity. Oop. So please hold. Let me just get that real quick. Okay, let's do the file. There you go. Here. So for time, I think we will like skip doing the activity during the workshop, but I recommend, setting the goals just to like give you like an idea of like how you would like set that. So we will skip like this activity as well. So now we will talk about the study plan. So for the study plan, so this is like the finals week. It's really important that you map your finals, and you can even like implement this in the fall semester as well. But make sure that you map your finals and due dates, and then count backwards. So knowing exactly like how many like study days you have can like really replace that anxiety that you have, like, oh, I have like a final, or I have this like midterms coming up soon. So but once you have like that plan in place, you will have like less anxiety and dread because you have like that concrete plan. And then make sure that you rank like in terms of like the studying and like knowing where to start. It's really one way that you can do is to like rank like the topics like by the difficulty and like the amount of like projects that you have. So is this more of a project based like thing, and it will take a lot of your time? Maybe you should rank that as your high priority compared to like a quiz that is due like next month, right? And then make sure to time block instead of like leaving it vague. I know we say that, oh, I should study like next week, but make sure to like have it like a specific like hours dedicated to like the subjects that you have can like really like make this less overwhelming for everybody, and like and making it like into a doable like action, or a doable like way to like study, or like have a concrete plan. And then use focus sessions with like a real break, as I mentioned, like having the Pomodoro technique that we talked about earlier. That is one good strategy that I like to like suggest people. And then build in like buffer days, because life happens, life didn't happen. So if you keep like a really strict schedule, that will also like cause you some stress. So make sure that you have like a buffer in place for that. And then let's ensure that we like revisit and adjust like our study plan every few days. So some things might not work out, some form of like study strategies might not work out. So it's really important that we like kind of like revisit and adjust the plans and like the schedules that we put in place every day, every other time. So just to like recap, in terms of like burnout, we have to like watch signs for like low concentration, if we're like missing some assignments and deadlines, or are we feeling like more irritable that day, or like, for like the past couple of weeks, and then some, if we're experiencing some form of like apathy or less concern about like the courses that we're taking, and then address that by reevaluating your study habits and protecting your sleep and setting boundaries and celebrating effort and not just outcomes. So, in terms of like motivation, intrinsic motivation tends to bring like higher achievement and lower anxiety, but extrinsic motivation is still useful for short-term goals and trying new things. So the trick is like balancing both extrinsic and intrinsic rewards to spark interest, but it also still connects us to the personal meaning that we want to do, like to build that intrinsic drive, right? So that marks the end of our 50-minute workshop. I know we are a little bit over time, but for those who are concerned about the attendance, I'm going to move back here. So this is the QR code for our attendance. So if you are struggling to scan the QR code, or you're having troubles with like Penji in general, kindly like put in your email address over here on the chat, so that I could like have my supervisor like message, personally like message the professor that you're mandated to like see. So I'll give that like a minute or two for everybody to like scan the QR code, and then I will like proceed with like the feedback like QR code next. Here is the screen. Okay, I'll send the link instead. Please hold. NG. I'll send the link real quick. Hold on, guys. Copy. I think there. Okay, I got the link. I'm just gonna share it again. Okay, guys, hold on. It's still like not sending me the link, but I will give that to you as soon as I can. All right, there you go. Hold on, hold on. It's telling me to sign in real quick. Hold on. I'm just gonna email the link to myself because Teams is acting weird on my end. Paste. Okay, hopefully it works good now. Okay, I finally have the link, so let me get that to everybody real quick. Okay, okay. Oops. Okay, here you go. Sorry, I'm having like trouble with like tech stuff at the moment. Please hold. Apologies for the wait. Thank you for your patience. So as what the chat is mentioning, um, feel free to like scan this QR code, and this will also like count as attendance as well. So feel free to like leave a feedback. And I was also trying to like find like the link for that. My apologies. So I will leave this for like a while, but at this like marks like the end of the workshop. So again, apologies for like the screen share error and like the attendance link, but this should be like good and you should be able to like access the QR code. But for those who are not able to like send a link, just let me know if this like the feedback QR code is not working well for you. Thank you, Jess. Yep. So once again, as I mentioned, once you've done like filling in the feedback form and you've also like, did the Penji registration, you should be good in terms of like attendance. But if you are having any more trouble, feel free to like let us know in the chat and you are free to go. Thank you so much for attending and have a good the rest of your day. Again, for those who are still here, feel free to like scan the QR code for the feedback. But otherwise, if you are experiencing any trouble, feel free to drop something in the chat.